That
I, I'm gonna
that.
say now, I think this is gonna be a very short episode
Oh, really?
because most of it is just, it's just 12 Angry Men. We know what
Yeah.
12 Angry
I
Men
mean,
is.
I did take very few notes, but I want to go through the cast and stuff.
My only notes is about the prompt you gave me, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
didn't write anything.
I mean, I wrote like maybe four notes because I was just so invested in it on top of everything.
Wait,
Like,
I guess technically I did write one more note, which is me writing something down for Denny Hughes, but we'll get there.
yeah. Okay. Um,
Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Hi, maybe our most normal intro, certainly in a while. Just welcome to the podcast. There you go. Hi, everybody. It's 12 Angry Men, 1997. Uh, can I just say up front, up top, very
Please
beginning
do.
of this episode, best movie we've done so far. Like, this is my number one with a bullet of the 20 some movies we've done at this point. I just want to get that out right up top. Like, this, I don't know how you felt about it. That's what we're here to talk about,
I'll
obviously.
I'll
But
simply say I disagree.
fair enough. No, I mean, I yeah, this was I had a really good time with this. I just wanted to lead off with that right out the gate. That really dug this one. Really, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the original already, but yeah, really, really, especially after some underwhelming movies this month so far, I was very happy that I was uh even more impressed with this one than I was maybe expecting to be going into it.
Like, just go the rundown. I'll give my opinions like after we set up the movie.
Okay, I guess we're just going right to
Like,
it, right?
it deserves context.
Yeah, no banter, just right to it,
This
right?
isn't going to be a funny episode, I don't think. Like
Yeah,
it's
well,
the most normal podcast episode we'll ever do.
probably. Although there's avenues, there's things we can talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's still going to be normal though.
yeah, relatively. Yeah. So we are talking about 12 Angry Men, 1997, directed by William Friedkin, written by Reginald Rose, based on his own 1954 teleplay. Stars in order of jurorness: Courtney B. Vance, Ossie Davis, George C. Scott, Armin Mueller-Stahl, Dorian Harewood, James Gandolfini, Tony Danza, Jack Lemmon, Hume Cronin, Mykelti Williamson, Edward James Olmos, and William Peterson. Also, Mary McDonnell as the judge at the very beginning, Tyrese Allen, Douglas Spain. But you've all seen 12 Angry Men in some form or another. You know it's mostly just the 12 Angry Men in it.
Hmm.
Uh, Premiered August 17th, 1997 on Showtime. Opposite that, on ABC, you had two episodes of America's Funniest Home Videos, and then a repeat of a 1994 erotic thriller TV movie, French Silk, with Susan Lucci. On
Susan Lucci
yeah,
from All
from
My Children.
yeah, from
And it,
Second Civil War. On CBS, you had an episode of Touched by an Angel, and then a Peter Bogdanovich TV movie called The Price of Heaven with Cicely Tyson.
Ooh,
On Fox, you had an episode of The Simpsons, episode of King of the Hill, episode of The X Files. On
what a
NBC,
lineup.
yeah,
Jesus.
I think they were all repeats. I don't think any of them were like new episodes or anything, but even still, yeah.
Still.
On NBC, you had an episode of Third Rock from the Sun, episode of News Radio, and a TV movie called Someone She Knows. And
Any notes about that?
no, I did. I was I think it was about a woman whose like child is abducted or murdered or something, and it's just like a vaguely pulled from the headlines story about that. Nobody in the cast I recognized or anything.
Okay.
Um, and on WB, you had two episodes of the Jamie Foxx show, an episode of something called Unhappily Ever After, and an episode of the Wayans Brothers. And that is what you had going on as far as the network television of the evening opposite this movie's premiere. Uh, yeah, we were talking before we got on the recording proper that is probably a shorter episode. With we have some other avenues to get into as far as padding it out. But like, for one, it's 12 Angry Men.
Mhm.
I've seen the movie, the original movie, a couple times at this point. It's one of my like, it's a top five movie for me of all
The
time,
the
personally.
original TV movie from 1950
You know
whatever.
what I'm talking about. Shut
I
up.
know, I know, I know.
That one's not a movie. That's a teleplay. That's a different conversation.
It's on our list, bucko.
Yeah, but when I say original movie, you know what I'm fucking
I
talking
know
about.
I'm being a dick.
But
I'm
yeah, like
fucking with you.
I mean, this movie does in some ways alter the. It's not just a one to one script, of like the. It's not just the same text updated with new cast members. Some of
It's
the
a
characters are,
modernization.
yeah, some of the characters are changed. Some of the dialogue is changed. The 57 movie is like a half hour shorter, right? That's like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like the original is 90 minutes, which is why I was shocked that this was 2 hours.
Yeah, and it pads that out with a lot of like not crosstalk, but like sort of interstitial scenes of two or three or four of the jurors like talking things out in between the like more heated discussions of everyone around the table. Like you'll have two of them at the window or two of them in the bathroom or like three of them at the end of the table while other people are doing other shit, just like talking about things and sort of getting to know these characters. I feel like I have a better understanding of at least a handful of the jurors
Well, wasn't
in this version versus the
weren't a lot of
original.
those in the original too?
Some of them, but like,
They add
this they
the
added a like the scene of 3 and 4 and 10 in the bathroom talking about, what why can't we just call it a hung jury and leave, or the scene of 12 talking about like the little jokes they make in the ad room of like, why don't we run it up the flagpole and see who salutes or whatever. Like there's a lot of these just little moments between two or three of them that like are there to serve as like, puffing out the jurors that in the original version are given less to do, like
Mhm,
6, like 12, like 11 a little bit,
mhm.
like 2. It's, to give everyone more of a character and more equal like uh presentation. But also it just like it sort of adds to the vibe of like, I don't know, I felt in this version a lot more connected to a lot of these characters as people versus like figures in the story. That I could see a lot more of them in as they would exist as regular people in the real world.
Mhm.
I feel like it humanizes a lot of them in some pretty interesting ways. But I'm sure because I do want to go through juror by juror. I feel like that's probably, rather than going through the plot, because what are we going, like, it's not like this movie changes the plot in any way, but just go through like performance by performance is probably the more interesting way to talk about this movie, I feel.
Mhm.
But yeah, give me your thoughts, because it sounds
Yeah.
like you're maybe not as
I
high on this one.
I am pretty like this is a good movie because 12 Angry Men is good. And I
Yeah.
just feel like this version of it is just kind of going through the motions of being 12 Angry Men. Like you get all the big name actors to do this great play, but then it's just like I feel like they're just making it because it's 12 Angry Men and not like there's a kind of facade, I guess, of like them trying to make it relevant to the times, but it's like there are so many other ways in which like it takes away a lot of the original context of what made like 12 Angry Men so great and so visceral. Well, and it's like this version just it just thinks, oh, 12 Angry Men is great because 12 Angry Men is great. It's like it doesn't I don't think it really understands why 12 Angry Men is such a beloved classic.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that take, but that's interesting. I do see where you're coming from. That like, I don't know, it does feel different in some ways. That like, I can see where you're coming from with that, but I do think this is a movie that has something to say in its changes. I mean, really the biggest change is the change of nine. Would it be
10,
10? Yes, nine
McKelty
is
Williamson.
nine is Hume Cronin. 10, Michael T. Williamson in the part that in the original is Ed Begley, the racist, who in
Hmm.
this he is still a racist, but a different. He's a former Nation of Islam member who is still very outspoken and very bigoted, but from a very different perspective. And like that is the biggest change this movie takes ultimately. So it's not really, as far as updating for the times, it's not adding or changing too much ultimately. But I do think it sort of in a post OJ world, this is a movie that is at least attempting to say something a little bit. I also don't necessarily know if it needs to have something unique to say. And maybe we're just approaching it on different fronts because
Yeah.
why mess with 12 Angry Men's like I don't think it really loses any of what is there in the original. And just because it doesn't change that much, I don't think that necessarily. I mean, I get where you're coming from as far as like, well, what's the point of remaking it otherwise? But I mean, the point is to get this cast all in
Yeah.
one to adapt a great play and do it for TV. Like it's not really all that off from like if you were to just do this on stage with this cast, except filmed. Like
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if I.
Let's go through this cast. Let's
Yeah.
talk because the cast is the best part of this movie.
Yes. Yeah. I think everyone like you know that is one thing that I do think it has up on the original. Not that the original cast isn't great. That's one of the all-time great ensembles ever assembled. But like I was saying, some of the ensemble of the original falls by the wayside. I couldn't tell you much of what say. See, I don't even remember the names of the actors of some of them, and part of that is because this one is all big names or people that would go on to be big names, save for Dorian Harewood, who even then I think is incredible in this one. But like whoever plays 12 in the original, or 6, or Robert Webber is 12, Edward Binns is 6.
I love
Those are
Edward
really the
Binns.
only. I mean, like everyone else in it is.
Like he
Uh,
got
uh,
fucking Piglet in there.
yeah, you got John Fiedler. You got Jack Klugman, E.G. Marshall, Ed Begley, George Vaskovich. Like it is an incredible cast, but there are a few members of that ensemble that are certainly less the focal point. And I did like how this version put more airtime towards, say, William Peterson or James Gandolfini or Tony Danza or Rossi Davis, like to make them into more present characters ultimately.
Yeah,
But
especially Edward James Olmos as number
yeah,
11. Like like the character in the original is always kind of feels out of place to me. Like it's not like the character itself is doesn't belong in in terms of the dynamic or what it's trying to say, but just feels like there's so he's framed so weirdly as compared to the other ones. And it's like it doesn't really know what to do with him in the original. But this one it's like he gives him so much more. And it's just like that's one of the big ups for this one.
yes, almost is. I mean, everyone here is great. I don't think there's an even subpar performance in this cast, really, but almost is one of the handful that I like really took note of over the course of it. But let's start off with number one and work our way around the table.
Of
Courtney B.
course.
Vance as juror number one, as the foreman, the Martin Balsam role,
Hmm.
uh, who kind of by design has to be more subdued, has to be more like tempered. He doesn't really get in on the arguments. Maybe the most arbitrary of the not guilty switches. It feels like he could kind of switch at any point. Uh, his doesn't really land as hard as say when Gandolfini switches or when Tony Danza switches or whatever. His just sort of feels but that's the point of the character. That's sort of his place in it. And I think Vance does a solid job. He's not necessarily the most impressive out of the cast, but like I think he works well as the glue holding the room together.
He, I think he really gives a lot of weight to the role. He's meant to be the person kind of like leading the proceedings, and Courtney B. Vance like really like makes you respect him. It makes
Yeah.
you like you understand that he is the leader, even if some of the people are kind of fighting against that at times.
Yeah, he
It
is
really,
he's the only one in the room that everyone respects to some degree or another. And even then that everyone has maybe a couple asterisks, but like at the very least he carries himself with like a poise
Mhm.
that he never raises his voice. He's maybe one of the only people in the whole cast who never raises his voice. And he's got the great scene at the window talking to Lemon about the kids that he coaches football.
Mhm.
And that's yeah, again, I don't remember if that's in the original. I don't remember if Balsam has that little aside about that, but like it's a great scene that just adds a little touch of humanity to him of like it takes him a while to like start to see this kid on trial as one of those kids, and that's a real turning point that I think is very welcome. And I think Courtney B. Vance really nails that quietness versus some of these other very loud performances.
Mhm. Number two, Ossie
Number two,
Davis.
Ossie Davis. Love me some 90s Ossie Davis getting to be sort of a just like a weird old man, but like a very kind old man. Doesn't have as much to do in this again, but like when he does get his highlights, he's very charming and very again. Other than Michael T. Williams, and probably the biggest change in character because John Fiedler is like a nervous younger sort of guy, just a nervous younger guy, and Ossie Davis is the old quiet, uh, uh, not quite weirdo, but like he's got I don't know, but
He's kind of, if not shifty, just nervous. He's twitchy, like we were
he's
talking about
quiet.
Leonardo DiCaprio last week.
Yes, he's uncertain. He's awkward, and I think well,
He's not self-assured.
yes, but not by any means. And while I think like in the original, and it's impossible to not be comparing this to the original. That's sort of the whole project of this.
Yeah, it was made
Uh,
because there was an original.
yes, exactly. And Fiedler stands out so much in my memory of that cast, whereas Davis doesn't really as much. Uh, but I do think that's intentional. I think he's supposed to sort of be meek and quiet in a much less standoffish kind of way.
Hmm.
And his sort of like getting battered down by George C. Scott and by Michael T. Williamson and some of those scenes, and uh, it could have easily been just like, oh, it's a second juror number 9, and I think Davis brings a different kind of quality of frail older man that is very welcome and adds a dynamic that the original lacks and that this one uh, is made more complex for having.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's like I do really think that the change they made with number two is interesting. Like to like change up that casting. It's just like when I first like was watching it and saw Ossie Davis and realized he was number two, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that works. It's like because he just gets so stuck in what the original does, it's like you kind of get narrow-minded in terms of like who can play like what roles, or like what type of characters.
Yeah, and that's something that we'll get to at the end of the episode because I tasked Eliza earlier with each of us coming up with a cast for a modern remake, hypothetically. And that was something I bumped up against a lot of like, I don't want to just be casting for the original or for this version. I wanted to take my own, uh, uh, make my own sort of character changes when I could. And that's one of the smartest things that this movie does is not changing everyone, but changing just enough that it adds a different perspective and a different sort of energy to the room. And Ossie Davis really brings that without drawing it, without overplaying it, without drawing too much attention to like, oh, and now I'm doing weird meek old man. Isn't that something? He really disappears into that corner of the room in a way that that guy absolutely would disappear into that corner of the room.
Hmm. Number three, George C. Scott.
Can we actually come back around to do him last?
Okay, that
Because
makes sense.
that like I mean we'll get to Lemon when we get to Lemon, but I think we should end on George C. Scott.
That makes perfect sense to me. Number four, Armin Mueller Stahl.
Armin Mueller-Stahl in this movie. I want you to go first. Actually, I started the other two. I want you to start
Of
off
course.
here.
So I always like seeing Armin Mueller-Stahl, especially like it's a similar thing to Ossie Davis, where it's like both of them just kind of like hit their stride in terms of getting these big character actor roles. Like of course there's like Shine, and I guess he was a lead in Avalon and stuff like that.
You have
But
like Night on Earth, the Jarmusch movie. He's great
yes,
in that around here.
yes.
Later on, Eastern Promises, he's terrifying in
Hmm.
as the big bad of that. Like Music Box as Jessica Lange's Nazi dad. Uh,
Yes, I
uh,
forgot about that.
yeah,
But
always love seeing him pop up in something.
But yes, and to cast him as juror number four is a really great choice to allow him to be a much more subdued character than he usually is. He is usually like the father figure who's very like angry and abusive or something like that. Maybe not that far, but still is usually playing bigger characters. So to let him be the more mild-mannered, the more like logical kind of character, or it's like the more analytical one, it's like that's a very nice change of pace to see for him to get. And it was just nice seeing him in a role like this.
Yeah, absolutely. By nature of the role, juror number four is maybe the most frustrating of them all because he's not coming at it from like a bigoted ideology like 10 or from just like a deep like toxic masculinity of 3. He's presenting himself as this very intellectual but very removed. He's like the epitome of facts don't care about your feelings throughout the play of the movie. And it makes him so frustrating of a role when they are consistently hitting him with these really well considered points here and there. So, some of the things that 12 Angry Men on a plot level gets at are a little flimsy here and every so often, but like it's frustrating how long he holds on to the guilty standpoint by nature of not wanting to admit defeat. And there's a real danger there in making this character insufferable and making this character just like a snotty nerd. And Armin Mueller-Stahl really threads the needle really well with making him, you know, a prissy older man that is still like the whole scene where Lemon is testing him on like, oh, what did he do the night before that, and the night before that, and he's trying to remember the details of having gone and seen Secrets and Lies, which I love that that's the movie. I love that he calls it Lies and Secrets, and her name is what's the name that he says? It starts with B. It's a Betty or whatever. And I also love that Jack Lemmon's character is intimately familiar with the details of Mike Leigh's Secrets and Lies, just like as a matter of course. I think that's really fun. But no, I think he really nails the sort of intellectual snobbery of the role, and the it's and again it's very different from E.G. Marshall's like sort of young professor type. He's this older German man. uh what does he do? They mention most of the jobs of the people in this version.
Mhm.
And now I'm trying to remember what they said for him. uh because
I think
it's
he's a
oh, he's a stockbroker, right?
yeah,
He's checking the stock exchange in the newspaper, and it's I mean he's really insufferable on purpose without being like a nuisance of a presence in the movie. I think he's very watchable, and he's very frustrating in a way that doesn't like take away from the performance and from the movie.
definitely.
He's
Uh,
great.
num Number five, Dorian Harewood.
Dorian Harewood, the one cast member who's not necessarily a name that you know, but he's been in things. Like a couple years ago, he was Tony nominated for the Notebook musical. He plays the older
Oh,
version of the lead in that.
I forgot about that.
Like 2 years ago, he got a Tony nomination for that.
Last year.
Um, last year, yes. Well, I mean, not counting this, 2 Tonys ago is
Well,
what I meant. But
oh yeah. So
that was last year. That was in 2024. Yes, you're right. Um, but yeah, I think he's really great here. And part of that is coming into this, I have an expectation of everyone else in this cast. Everyone else is a name I know, and Dorian Harewood is not. And so I'm going into this like, okay, well, he's not gone on to have the same career as anyone else here. And so I was sort of pleasantly surprised at how well he holds his own against these titans of acting and these great character actors. He really sells the antagonism between him and Scott, between him and Tony Danza, like between him and Mike Kelty Williamson. Like
mhm.
he really gets at the heart of this character, who is one of the more important characters, one of the most important of the jurors early on. He's the second one that turns after
After Hume
Hume
Cronin.
Cronin, and even then, it feels like there's a little bit of ambiguity there as to like. I feel like that could be an interesting take you could do on a version of 12 Angry Men where, because everyone is like ganging up on five when the second vote goes through and there's a second not guilty vote. And then Hume Cronin, nine stands up and is like, he didn't change his vote, I did. And I feel like you could do an interesting take on this where five is the one that changes his vote. But because of everyone ganging up on him, nine like takes the blame for that, quote unquote, and in turn sort of also changes his vote on a whim. I don't know. That was just something that like struck me this time with that exchange. But no, I think Dorian Harewood really gets at the 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 hurt in this man's soul in a way that like Jack Klugman is good in the original, but I don't always buy him as much. I think part of making this character black certainly helps what the point of the character is, that he's this, he also grew up in the slums, and he takes offense to all the people saying that the product of his environment that made this kid allegedly murder. But no, I think he's great. I think he's really solid.
Yeah. Like I liked him in the role, like in the way I liked everybody, but I also was he's kind of forgettable to me. It's like just kind of blended into the rest of the cast. And like maybe it's because he is like the least big name of it, but it just and also I also felt that way in the original movie too with Jack Klugman's character because it feels like one of the more one-note characters because it's like his whole role is to be like, hey, don't talk bad about the slums. And then it's
And
just like,
yeah, and then the knife thing, and it's like
yeah,
he really gets those two highlight scenes. But I liked him.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
I certainly like him.
yeah,
Like I like all of these cast members. It's
yeah.
just
Again, nobody here is bad. Nobody here
somebody
is.
has to be like the most forgettable one, and I think it's him. Although,
That's probably fair. I would maybe, I don't know. I would maybe say Courtney B. Vance, but even then, I think he's still great. But
although I think the second most forgettable one is our next one, juror number six, James Gandolfini.
yeah, it's because okay. recently I was talking through this cast with somebody and just going through like trying to line everyone up with who they were. And I couldn't tell you a thing about Juror 6. And that's kind of by design. He this version, like, I mean, you look at the Wikipedia page where it has the grid of who everyone is and what their deal is. And for 6, it says a house painter, patient and respectful of others' opinions, feels very strongly about respect for his elders. And that's really it. That's really all he has to go off, is that he keeps sticking up for the old men in the group of like, hey, you know, don't treat him like that. Treat him with respect. And that's kind of all he has to do. But I mean, it's James Gandolfini, so at the very least, he's got that in his corner.
Yeah. And he's one of the few actors who wasn't already famous when this movie came out. Like, because
Yeah,
this is before Sopranos and stuff.
yeah. This is like Get Shorty, James Gandolfini. This is like he had been a heavy in ensembles, but he was not a name, in the same way as, say, Tony Danza was definitely a big name going into this.
Hmm.
But I think he serves the ensemble well. Gandolfini does, in a way that he's not going to be your MVP, but he makes, he makes a small role into something.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
moving on.
Tony
Tony
Danza,
Danza. Uh,
Tony Danza.
Before we get into saying our thoughts, I do have one thing to say. Excuse me. Come on, we're hung.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Tony Danza. Uh, uh, I, okay. Maybe when I said Juror 4 is the most insufferable, uh, Juror 7 fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's his whole thing, is the fact he fucking sucks. He just wants to get to the fucking baseball game, and we all fucking hate him for it.
And I
Eh,
mean, Danza's great. Danza really makes this guy a fucking jerk off to the nth degree, and it's very watchable. I'll give him that.
to,
I
to,
really did want to reach through the screen and throttle him every time he opened his shitty mouth.
like when you look at this cast, like just like without knowing like who's who, you feel like Tony Danza is like a bit too like he's not high class enough to be part of this cast, but then it's like, oh yeah, he really plays this specific role so well.
Yeah, it's a really solid performance. And like, I'm not someone that's super familiar. I haven't watched any Taxi or Who's the Boss or whatever. Like, I'm not, up to date on my Tony Danza oeuvre, but like, I feel like, he's certainly one of the bigger TV stars of this cast going into this,
Hmm.
and playing such a abrasive character is, I got to give him extra props for that, for like going against type and being just like such a shitheel. But no, I think he's solid. I think that his confrontation scene with Olmos, where he finally switches, and then Olmos, which I don't think is in the original,
It is in the
right?
original.
Or okay, maybe I
I
just
think it
forgot.
might be a bit extended, but
It does feel like it was given more focus here, where that's something that I like that this movie does. If we can take a little detour
of
here,
course.
is that I think this movie really opens up the space in ways I wasn't expecting it to. I think having that bathroom that they can duck into every now and then, having just like even the handful of shots where Vance will go up and press the button to get some evidence brought in, and like just having that door open up a little bit, uh, having it not be just one long straight table, having it be like multiple tables huddled together. I think the space and the fact that everyone gets up from the table a lot more than they do in the original. There's a lot of pacing around. There's a lot of getting up to approach someone on the other side of the table to have a little one-on-one. Uh, and that scene with almost getting up to confront him and to get really in his face about like, stand by your convictions. If you want to vote guilty, vote guilty. Don't just vote not guilty because you're bored. Uh, and that really amps up the tensions in some ways that I really responded to.
What sometimes like when you're saying stuff about the original, I'm wondering if you don't remember the original well, or if I don't remember the original well.
I mean, I haven't watched it since high school, but but like, I mean, I know they get up from the table, but there's just not as much like crosstalk in that kind of, again, the like asides where you have a couple of them going off in the midst of deliberation to like just talk shit out or go into the bathroom and like, I don't know, it feels like this is, I don't know.
It
I also,
it
yeah.
it's like the original, like all the things you were saying, it's like the original does do stuff like that, but then it's like I guess this one kind of does it a bit more, but
Yeah,
then
that's
it's
where
like
I'm not
I
saying that like it's an invention of this version. It just opens it up more than the original, which is a degree of claustrophobic.
but I it's like I think it doesn't like add to like the changes they're making to it don't really add anything to like what this movie is trying to do. It just doesn't want to be the exact same. So it add like it shoots it a bit differently. It has these different bits of staging and it's like it makes it different, but it's like I don't feel like it's doing all that much. It's just like it's just I just keep asking it. It's just like I don't have a reason to watch this when I could just watch the original.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying this one reaches the heights of the original by any means. I just think going into this as someone who loves the original so
Yeah.
much, I even though I was very excited for this, I was a bit hesitant of like what will this have to offer other than a new cast. And I did find myself noticing some of those little flourishes and little moments where things get expanded on and teased out a little bit more to add those extra like 25 minutes of
Mhm.
runtime. And I did find myself like, oh, that's an interesting decision. That's Friedkin doing something. That's Friedkin playing in the space in a different kind of way than Lumet was.
Mhm. And I find it funny that we took this aside like literally halfway through as we're talking about the Juror.
Yeah.
Since we skipped George C. Scott, we stopped after number seven. And
Well, there you go.
but also just another thing to put into this random aside. Um Something I was thinking about a little bit was Gus Van Sant's Psycho remake. And I was just thinking, it's like, if that were a TV movie, I feel like it would be a lot more appreciated rather than just become a punching bag. Because, like, TV is the place where you can make shot for shot remakes and people will be like, okay, that's fine. It's like you can just do that, like, make the same movie with a different cast, and people will be like, okay, yeah, it's the movie I know, but different except not.
Yeah.
And it's like you do it with 12 Angry Men, you do it with like Rear Window, you do it with all these different movies. And it's just like, yeah, the same but different.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I do think that probably would have given it a lot more, a lot less sight unseen ire from people.
Mhm.
Certainly,
Yeah, we should have had like Emmy nominee Anne Heche or something.
it could have happened. Who's to say? I do think Vince Vaughn is probably uh, maybe a bridge too far with the casting there. I do
Oh
think that
yeah. Like
is a stumbling block for that movie. But
but yeah, like Julianne Moore being in there and I forget who plays the cop in it.
Viggo Mortensen, right? Isn't he the Martin Balsam?
It's been a long
No,
time
he's
since
the
I've seen it.
no. Vigo's the brother. William H. Macy, I think, is Arbogast.
Yeah. But
And
yeah.
then yeah, Julianne Moore is the sister. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon.
Jack fucking Lemmon.
He I just want to bring up like one of my favorite like stories around this movie is at the Golden Globes when Ving Rhames won for the Don King miniseries. He
Yeah,
calls up
that was
Jack
why,
Lemmon.
but that was why I took a few minutes after you said you were ready to get on call because I wanted to rewatch that before we
Yeah,
got
he
on.
he calls up Jack Lemmon on stage to literally give him the Golden Globe he just won because he thinks he does not deserve it more than Jack fucking Lemmon.
Yeah. And I mean, Lemon's great here. What can you say? It's a different sort of take on the character, mostly just by nature of the fact that he's significantly older than Henry
Yeah.
Fonda in the original. But like it does sort of completely alter the perspective of the character. He's not just some like, hotshot guy who's got a perspective. He's got a grandfatherly quality to him that really makes him feel so soulful and so like more desperate to affect this kid's life however he can, if he can at least offer something. And it really makes the character. I think it really, um I mean, again, I don't think anyone in this cast, at least of the bigger roles, really, well, I don't even know if that's true. I was going to say if they really approach the original performances, but like just because Jack Lemmon isn't Henry Fonda in the original, like that's not that's a big hurdle to leap, and I think he's still really incredible with everything he's asked to do here.
I I do think it's funny that it's like since Jack Lemmon was already so old, but then you still have the old juror you need to cast. It's like, God, who can we get that's just fucking ancient?
Who's older than Jack Lemmon and George C. Scott at this point?
Hugh
Uh,
Cronin, of
which
course.
I mean, yeah, Hume Gronin he was like 86, 87 or something in this.
He
Uh, I don't know how old Lemon or Scott were, but like probably in their late 70s,
I
early 80s.
I feel like Scott had to be somewhat similar in age,
Probably.
but it's like I know Jack Lemmon at least is younger, just thinking about how young he was in like 1950, whereas Hume Cronin was not.
Had been acting in the 40s and 30s and things.
Um,
But yeah, I
okay,
mean,
so Scott's a like more than a decade younger than Cronin.
okay. That makes sense. I don't want to just move right on to Hume Cronin and just skirt past Jack Lemmon,
Oh no,
though.
we're not. I
Yeah,
just liked how old people are.
yeah. And also not to mention Ossie Davis and Armin Mueller-Stahl. Like
Of course.
this is a cast of oldies.
I don't think Armin
Um,
Mueller-Stahl was that old. Oh
not
wait,
that
no,
old.
he was. Jesus.
He's like what,
He's
90 something
three
now?
years younger than George C. Scott.
Yeah. I mean, he's an old man in this. But no, Lemon is really great. Not very flashy. I took note of like, I mean, he does
He
have the
gets his
points of
moments, of
he
course.
gets his moments. He does raise his voice now and then, but it's no like Lemon at the end of Glengarry Glen Ross where he's doing the big like "fuck you" monologue, shouting at Kevin Spacey and sort of breaking down. Like he doesn't reach those heights of sort of freneticism that you can get with like a old man Jack Lemmon performance every now and then. Like he really makes this guy tired and world weary and desperate, without being like, pathetically desperate. I really like the way they really nail the sadness of this character. And Lemon's great. I think he's really great.
Hmm. Yeah. He
I agree with Ving Rhames.
I I don't think like of course I haven't seen the Don King miniseries yet, though it is on my priority list, but it's like
Yes.
I don't think he should have given up his Golden Globe. I'm sure Ving
No.
Rhames
Yeah.
gave a very great performance in that miniseries.
Yeah. I think it's also like he mentions in the moment where he's giving it to him, like it's not necessarily about I think you were better than me. It's like he says that being an artist is about giving, and he wants to give back to like one of the greats
Yeah, exactly.
for being such an inspiration. I think he did like fully refuse to take it back from Lemon, so they engraved it for Jack Lemmon and then also engraved one for Ving Rhames and gave him a separate one. So
Oh,
even
I didn't
though,
even know they did that. That's
yeah,
so cute.
I mean, like he was adamant, like, no, this is for Jack Lemmon. This is Jack Lemmon's award, and so they gave it to him. They engraved it for him, so that's fun. Um,
That's so awesome. Like I
yeah,
like just forcefully giving him a Golden Globe.
yeah.
Like
And Lemon's acceptance speech is great, by the way. Like he's very flustered. He doesn't really know what to do up there, so he's vamping a little bit. There's one point where he just sort of like pulls a face of like, that's fucking weird, but it's very fun. It's up there for me in terms of like memorable awards show moments of people that didn't win the award going up on stage with the I don't know if you've seen the Critics' Choice 2002 Best Actor, where it was still early Critics' Choice, so there were only three nominees, and there was a tie. So Nicholson for About Schmidt and Daniel Day Lewis for Gangs of New York tied. Day Lewis goes up first, gives his very Daniel Day Lewis polite speech, and then Jack gets up, and Jack is clearly very drunk, and is like, "Hey, Robin," because Robin Williams for 1 Hour Photo was the one that didn't win. "Hey, Robin, come on up here, give my speech for me." And Robin Williams just fucking goes off while Nicholson is just having a blast in the background. Nicholson also, by the way, has a great moment in this moment we're talking about, where it cuts to the audience as Lemon is saying, I can't accept this. And it cuts to Jack like gesturing, like, "Hey, give it to me, I'll take it." It's great. Which, like, Jack would win a Globe later that night anyway for As Good as It Gets, but he's just very playful. It's very fun. But uh yeah, great moment for Jack Lemmon and Nicholson. Two Jacks. Hey.
Two Jacks.
Did they ever do anything together? Were they ever in anything?
I can't think of
I don't.
anything. Which, like, they were acting around the same times and stuff,
Yeah,
but also they were never really in the same type of movies at the same time.
yeah. I don't know.
Like maybe, oh, hold on. Um,
you got something?
no, I don't think I have something. However, Jack Nicholson was in Ensign Pulver, which is the sequel to Mr. Roberts.
Ah,
Jack Lemmon is not in Ensign Pulver, but he was in the original version or the first movie. I think.
with
Oh, with also with fucking Henry Fonda.
Henry Fonda. Yeah, fun little connection there.
Oh,
Um.
speaking of fun little connections, here's my IMDb trivia that I made up.
Oh,
Well, I didn't make up, it's true, but I didn't take this from
it.
anywhere. I just found
Yes,
it on my own. So, George C. Scott has twice played characters originated by Lee J. Cobb.
I think this is on the IMDb trivia actually.
Okay, but I came up with it independently, so fuck you. Fuck
Oh,
you, IMDb trivia.
I wasn't doubting you. I was just like, great minds think alike. You are on
So
par with the minds behind the IMDb trivia here.
so first is obviously what we're talking about here, 12 Angry Men, but then also it's The Exorcist. George C. Scott plays I forget the name of the character, or
The
but
whatever that cop is.
I don't think is it a cop? It might I
He's a
don't know.
detective, right?
I
He's
don't
he's the
remember.
I think he's a detective that is like investigating the the
Anyway,
the death of the screenwriter
the
or whatever
character that
the
Lee J.
director.
Cobb plays in the first Exorcist movie is later played by George C. Scott in Exorcist 3.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, that's two times that George C. Scott has played characters originated by Lee J. Cobb, and they
That is
also
that is
have
genuinely
name
very
initial name.
interesting. Yeah, it is genuinely very interesting.
I think
I'm just
it
giving you
is
flack.
it's fun.
It is. It really
We
is.
we have fun around here, folks.
Yeah.
We who
Oh,
said this is going to be just a normal episode? Fuck you, whoever said that.
yeah. I bet I didn't have it. I don't know. Hume Cronin.
Hume Cronin.
Hume
He
Cronin.
he's croning it up. He's so Humey in this.
Yes. I'll let you start off because I again sort of
I mean,
started.
there isn't too much to say.
Yeah.
He's just like I said. He's Cronin it up. He's very Humey. He's
Yes.
he's doing a Hume Cronin performance like he did in Cocoon and Marvin's Room and
Well, not
the
like in Marvin's room. In Marvin's room, he's just in a bed doing that's all he's doing in Marvin's room. I'm not even
he
exaggerating. He's just
then I'll say like the fucking gin game. Then I don't know.
yeah. Or like at the beginning of the Pelican Brief, where he's the Supreme Court justice that gets shot in the head.
Awesome. Just like the Doctor in Doctor Who the movie.
Exactly.
Except
Um,
not at all.
no, not at all. But no, I think Hume Cronin is good. It's not the most compelling character. He's the first one to switch. He's soft spoken and old and gets some flack, but like kind of goes away for the middle third of the movie after he's changed his mind and before he comes back with the glasses, sort of a bombshell. But he's fine. He's good.
Hmm.
It's a solid performance. I like Hume Cronin in general.
Yeah. Hey,
Uh, yeah,
it, he's croning it up. He's
yeah,
being very hummy.
yes, he is.
That's I've
He's
made
Cronin
that
it up.
same joke 3 times and you never laughed at it, and I'm gonna
I
keep
I laughed a little bit.
not enough.
No, it is very good.
It's not
Uh,
funny. You don't humor me. It's not funny.
well, fair. Michael T. Williamson.
You are just like fucking juror number 7. You don't stand up for your opinions. You just want to agree with me so we can move a fuck along. It's like you
Correct.
got your tickets to the fucking baseball game or whatever. Or it's just like, no, just tell me you think I'm funny or tell me I'm not funny. Don't give a shit about what I think about it. Just be honest to me.
It was a good bit. I like it. It's a fun turn of phrase. Human it up very Croning.
Thank you.
It's good.
Hey, you switched it around though.
I know. I was doing a spin on it.
Juror number 10, McKelty Williamson.
Michael T. Williamson. We talked about the differences here. He's
It
the outspoken former Nation of Islam, just like real bastard in this movie.
which I'm gonna say I don't think it works. I think like for a role that was originally written to be like the extremely racist, like I don't remember if he's like has like a southern accent or anything, but he's very much
No,
emulating the
he,
South in
he
there.
yeah, he's just sort of like old racist white guy in the original.
And
Um,
I just
it's
don't
ambitious.
I don't think like making it a former Nation of Islam member or like by doing this, it's making it seem like it's the same thing, like it's the same
Yeah,
kind of racism or whatever,
yeah.
and it's just not.
The racist against Hispanics. Wikipedia says black supremacist, which I don't know if that necessarily fully comes across in the character as presented. But it's certainly an ambitious choice. Uh, you're right; it doesn't totally pull it off, but I think on a performance level, I do think Williamson is a powerhouse. He's very commanding
Yes.
of the screen. Um, I think he takes a difficult character as far as what it's saying and makes him a solid presence in the movie. I did enjoy watching him as an actor that never really got to have like the full. He didn't really get to reap the benefits of Forrest Gump in the same way that like Gary Sinise did for a bit or Robin Wright.
Hmm.
Like he never really got the full like post Forrest Gump. Oh hey, it's Bubba in XYZ type of thing. He does have a good recurring bit on Justified for like the last. I think he shows up in season 2 and is just there throughout as this like kind of sort of mobbed up like uh, uh, barbecue rancher. Really terrifying, but like really watchable on that show.
Hmm.
And I really can't think of much else that I would have seen him in. So it was nice to get to see him here, just like really chewing the scenery of the part. And yeah, it doesn't quite work. All things considered, it's a big swing. But I think his performance works despite that.
Yeah, like he definitely like does great with the role. It's just a role I find questionable for to be added in here.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah,
was this was this written by the same
it
guy who wrote
was.
the original?
Yes, yeah,
Huh, that's interesting.
yeah. It it's a big change. It's like I said earlier, the by far biggest change the movie makes. Uh, and I get, wanting to diversify the cast as much as possible so it's not just another 12 white guys.
Mhm.
And that works elsewhere. It works with Ossie Davis. It works with Dorian Harewood. It works with Courtney B. Vance. It works with Edward James Olmos. But I don't know if it totally sticks the landing here.
Mhm. And
It's an ambitious choice. I'll
and,
say
and
that.
I want to say it's like to and it's like I understand like what they were thinking about in like 1997, like to make it like the kind of colorblind casting. It's like, and also it's like you said earlier, like after OJ trying to like kind of emulate that. But it's like one, it's like it was like an all white jury in the original one because all juries were all white back then. It's like
Yeah,
you weren't allowed to be on a jury unless you were a white man. But it's like I think if you're going to like, but also having it be the all white jury is speaking on like all of like the said and unsaid racism of those juries back then. And it's like to take out that element to do the colorblind casting, I feel like you lose a lot of that a lot of those prejudices like with these characters, like of course not all of them but certainly some of them. And it's like, and also if you're going to do like try to make it emulate a modern jury, why is it still 12 men? I feel like that is
yeah.
incredibly rare nowadays to have just a jury that is 12 men only.
I
it,
think the like half joking reason that either Friedkin or Rose, the screenwriter, gave when they were asked that was well then you'd have to call it 12 angry persons and that or 12 angry people, and that doesn't
12
roll.
angry jurors, like that
Yeah,
works.
yeah, no, you could definitely when I did my recasting thing here, I did just still have it be men for the sake of that. But yeah, I think it presents a different perspective for with what you're talking about with like, the prejudices implied with an all white jury. Like, it does allow the tensions within the room to be more heightened where you have these prejudiced bigoted characters with, people that they are prejudiced against in the room, so the comments aren't just like, hey, don't say that about, you know, that group of people. It's, hey, don't say that about me. And
Yeah.
it does make some of those tensions rise in a different way. So it doesn't flake out on that. It
Mhm.
doesn't, take away that implication and not present something else in its stead. But like, yeah, it's not like this movie has the most like this is still by and large a text from 1954
Yeah.
being here and there updated for the modern day.
And a
But
man from 1954 adapting it to the 1990s.
yes, yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
but no, fair.
Anyway, we can move on to
Edward
number
James
11.
Olmos,
Yeah,
uh,
Edward James Olmos.
really good here. Really, just like a solid bit player. Doesn't get a ton to do. Gets maybe two or three highlight moments. By nature of the character, the by far the most quiet juror. But when he does have something to say, he's. I mean, this is great. It's Edward James Olmos. What are you gonna say? Is not good? Fuck off. Edward James Olmos is great, and he's great here.
He's fantastic. Just like maybe like at the very least top three of this cast for me.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Just fantastic work from Mr. Olmos. Thank you for your service.
Yeah. And to the point that like there's really not a ton to say about him
Mhm.
because he's just like a consummate sturdy figure at that end of the table, but he nails it. He again, going back to the scene where he does finally break and go after Tony Danza. There's the the bit with William Peterson, where he says like there's a couple times in this movie where people refer to him as being European, being some like I think Peterson says, "Oh yeah, all the best watchmakers are from Europe," and I think McKelty Williamson calls him some like Eastern Euro Czech trash or whatever, something like that.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if that's intended to be like almost as just playing a some sort of Eastern European character, or if it's supposed to be that these people are just assuming based on his demeanor. I couldn't quite tell. I couldn't quite tell with the accent if he was doing that or if he is doing some sort of like South American, Latin American character because he is.
Mhm.
Uh, but that was something that like did sort of perk up to me of like, oh, is that something? Is that something we're doing here, or is that just like a holdover from the original where the character is, or at least the actor was like Czech?
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have I don't have an answer to that. It's just
Yeah.
something that
Just a thought
surprised me.
experiment.
Yeah, I don't know.
Question for the viewers at home. What do you think?
Put a poll under the Twitter page. Edward James Olmos Czech
Jack, but spell it Check.
European question mark?
Gay or
Yes or no?
European?
Someone here should have been gay.
Wait, someone here is Shirley Gay, you said?
I said should have been. Someone in
Oh,
this cast should have been a gay character.
which juror would you make gay?
Um, honestly, I think the foreman could be gay. I think
That's
uh
boring.
yeah, I think Juror 6. I mean, he does have a couple comments about his wife, but like that would at least be something for Juror 6 to have as a character beat, to make him more of a character. I don't want to go the easy route of, oh, Juror number 2 because he's the timid one, or I don't even know. Like
For
uh
me, the gay one is our next one, juror number 12, William Peterson.
I could see that. I could see that being like a deeply closeted ad exec.
Like
That's
very Patrick Bateman.
Yes, no, that's something. William Peterson is fun in this. That's kind of the point of Juror 12 is to be the fun, stupid one. But I found him to be a welcome breath of fresh air every time he got to say something stupid.
Yeah, he was another one I was just kind of forgetful about. And like it's the same way in the original. He's just kind
Yeah,
of one of them. He doesn't get
I
as many
he's
big
by
moments.
far the most forgettable of the original, I would say. I couldn't tell you a thing he does. I could even like I could tell you a moment here. I can like barely even picture him in the original. I think he has glasses, maybe. That's all I could tell you about the original Juror 12.
Yeah, he does wear glasses sometimes.
But no, I think Peterson is a hoot here. I think he's fun.
And that's all we have to say about him. And so
Yeah.
we can just circle on back to our boy George C. Scott as juror number 3. Come on.
Un- yeah.
Come
Uh,
on.
Another interesting take that throughout the movie, I was like, okay, this is fun. This is good. This is fun. This is fine. He's certainly like getting at that Lee J. Cobb bitterness. But I don't necessarily know what's standing out, uh, comparatively to the original. And then he has that ending. And that's a completely different take on it. That it starts off the same way where he's shouting of like, oh, are you people going insane? You have all this evidence. We've been talking about this all this time. But then instead of, as Lee J. Cobb does, just shouting and shouting and shouting, and then just like coming to the realization on his own and just switching to not guilty and all that. The way that George C. Scott just starts breaking down crying
Mhm.
is hits you so hard. I was not expecting it to go that way. It's a completely different read on the character, which it kind of has to be because Lee J. Cobb, I looked this up by the way, was 46 in the original.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so he's
I mean, that
this
makes sense actually.
yes. But like the son that he's talking about in that is probably like a teenager or in his early 20s or something.
Hmm.
And George C. Scott being like 70 something, he mentions that the son that he has all this resentment about is like 32 and he hasn't seen him in 14 years. And that just completely changes kind of everything about the character. And to see him just break down in tears like that at the end really got me, really hit me.
Hmm. Like I don't even have anything to say about his performance, just that it is just so so good. Like of
Yeah,
course it's so good. It's George C. fucking Scott. Like come on. You can't watch a performance from him and just think anything but yeah, that's the, a great fucking performance. Thank you, George C. Scott. May I have another?
exactly. And it went places I wasn't expecting. I mean, you tell me George C. Scott playing juror number 3 in 12 Angry Men, I go in expecting one thing. And that little zag at the end totally recontextualized everything that had happened to that point. I think it's a really, really smart decision to change the character so thoroughly. To have that moment where they're filing out of the room at the end and Lemon goes over and gives him his jacket. Like, I don't think that I could be wrong here again, but I don't think that is in the original. I don't think you have that coming together of 8 and 3 at the end
I
before they
don't
leave.
I don't
Uh,
think so, but it might be. It's like
it
God,
could
we
be
should
something similar. I wish I had gone back and rewatched the original. Also, just because it's been forever. Which the story around that, by the way, so I in like a class in high school on like it wasn't quite an ethics class, but it was like a it wasn't quite a debate class either, but it was something along those same lines. And we watched a class period's worth of 12 Angry Men, and then we were going to watch the rest of it the next time we had that class. And I was so thoroughly enraptured by it that I went home that night and watched the whole thing start to finish just to like I couldn't wait 2 days to watch the last half of 12 Angry Men. And I haven't gone back and watched it in full since then, but like uh it has remained one of my favorites all that time. And it's maybe, as I say it, not as interesting a story as it sounded in my head, but it's at least something.
I think I've heard you tell me that story before.
I
I
may have.
I
I may have
can't.
when we were talking about this on like a prep something, or
Oh,
have we done a
probably.
19? We haven't done a 1957 movie on lone acting, have we? Is Lonely Hearts? No, that's
Maybe.
58, I
Oh,
think.
but it might have been in one of our two prep sessions because
It could have
I
been,
I
yeah.
remember talking about how like this year is one of the big years for TV movies with this and Don King and like George Wallace and
I
a
mean,
few other ones.
do we want to move to talk about the Emmys here? Because I did write down this won a handful, got a few other nominations, and that seems like as good a point as any to transition over to that.
Yeah, it's like I don't really have a story about when I last watched 12 Angry Men, so let's move on to awards.
So yeah, this gets what is it? One, two, three, four, five, six Emmy nominations. Wins two of them. Nominated for Best Made for TV Movie, which loses, or Made for TV Movie or Miniseries is the category. Loses to Don King Only in America. We've talked about this before because Gia is a nominee. Back to
Yes,
our pilot
Geo is
episode,
another one from this year.
along with A Bright
Maybe
Shining
that
Lie,
was
and
when we you mentioned that story. Who knows?
I I don't think that would have been that's maybe too far afield of a tangent for me to have gone on, but you never know.
We could have
Um,
been talking about we did talk about the awards race at the very
we
least.
did, but I don't think we got that in depth on 12 Angry Men because I would have presumably knowing myself, I maybe would have wanted to save it for this episode we're doing now, but maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
Um, Nominated for Best Directing for Friedkin, loses to John Frankenheimer for George Wallace. Also nominated in this category, Tom Hanks for the first episode of the miniseries From the Earth to the Moon,
Mm,
which didn't know Tom Hanks was an Emmy nominated director, but good for him.
I did know that.
Well, good for you. Jack Lemmon nominated for Best Lead Actor, loses to Gary Sinise for George Wallace in a very heavy lead actor category that also has Ving Rhames for Don King Only in America, Sam Neill for Merlin, and Patrick Stewart for Moby Dick. which the
We
Moby
just
Dick
talked about that
miniseries
one last week.
we did for Gregory Peck uh, winning the Golden Globe alongside Don Cheadle.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I was just thinking about how it's like how because of just the way we did this, where it's like
yes, yeah,
our lists are both sorted by a date, and so it got similar dates, but still, it's like, yeah, it's fun how I really like how the Emmys and then like Golden Globe slash SAG are like just on different schedules, so you have things competing together one on one ceremony, but they're at two different years the other.
yeah. That Moby Dick is 2 episodes, right? We can do that.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think I checked that last time.
yeah. Oh, Ted Levine is in that. That's cool. Um, anyway, oh yes, supporting actor George C. Scott wins. Hume Cronin also nominated, and then you have Gregory Peck for Moby Dick, Martin Short for Merlin, and J.T. Walsh for Hope.
Mhm.
And then it also wins Best Sound Mixing for all the rain and the chatter outside and the crosstalk and everything. Uh, Not something I would have expected necessarily, but that's cool.
Mhm.
And also at the Golden Globes, alongside the Jack Lemmon thing, nominated for miniseries or movie, loses that to George Wallace, and George C. Scott wins that as well. Um, and I didn't write down the SAG awards or anything else there, but yeah,
I
that's
don't
what
think
we
there
got
were any SAG nom. Oh, there were two SAG nominations: Outstanding Performance by Male Actor, Miniseries or Television Movie. Lemon and Scott were both nominated.
right on.
Let's let's see who won. Oh, Gary Sinise and George Wallace.
Yeah, it was either gonna be Sinise or Rames, one of the two.
Hmm.
Um, okay. Do we want to move on to our project?
Sure.
Okay. So part of what prompted me to do this and to pose this for us is I remembered years ago I had done something similar, and I scrolled back through my photos app on my phone, and I found the thing that I had, and I kept one of the cast members in the same spot. There was one other that I moved to a different juror, and another one that I thought about moving to a different juror, but ultimately didn't go that way. But I do have that cast written down as well. I'm not going to go through all of those as I go through the ones I landed on. But I might bring up some of them here and there. But do we want to do this like snake draft way, where like I do one, you do two, I do two,
I
and back and forth like that?
I don't I honestly can't decide how the best way to do this would be because on the one hand it's like if the casts are like holding like a specific like or like better as like a group or like as
I
individuals.
we
It's like I
okay.
don't because like with mine, it's like I did kind of think about like how these this plays together as a group, but also we could think like how we each interpreted the different jurors.
I tried to do that as best I could as well. How about
Let's do it like juror by juror, and then then afterwards we can talk about like why we cast it the way we did.
I was gonna say the same thing. I do think we can like talk about them as we go. I don't want to just do name. Like,
Well, yeah, of course.
but yeah, and then we can read out our full casts at the end. So, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Uh, I'll just start. For juror number one, I've got Billy Crudup.
Ooh, he was someone I thought about for a few different places. I ultimately didn't put him, but that's a good call. He can really he's really good in an ensemble, and sort of disappearing into an ensemble, like Almost Famous, like 20th Century Women, like Spotlight. Like he's never going to be your a number one cast member in an ensemble like that, but he's very good at servicing his co-stars. I like that.
Exactly. Like, and he was also like instantly like the first choice I had. Like, it's just like for some reason he is the only person I can think about for juror number one.
Yeah, juror number one is the cast member that I kept from my casting from 2019, and I there were a few others that I thought about keeping, but ultimately changed. And I wanted to like have this be a fully original cast from that one, but I just couldn't. I similarly couldn't think of anyone better than Chiwetel Ejiofor. Is who I
Mm.
have. I feel like similarly, he's a very good ensemble player. He's a very good mediator in some things like that. Like he's very good at. I don't know. I couldn't see anyone else.
It's a great choice.
My juror number two, I went. I slingshotted back further than John Fiedler from Old Man Ossie Davis. I went with my youngest cast member here, Cooper Hoffman,
Oh, okay.
because I think like that could be another interpretation you could have here, where most of the rest of my cast is relatively old. I did. I wanted it to be a varied age level throughout, so I like did write down the ages that all these actors are, so that I could like have some variation there. And I think having juror number two be out of his depths in that regard, being like, fresh out of college, doesn't really have the world experience as some of these other jurors, and so he's easily swayed on that level. Uh, I don't know. I would like to see that.
But yeah, that was something I wanted to do with mine because it's like I feel like that is an important part of like juries, like to make like a jury. It's like it yeah, anybody who's 18 or older or can be on a jury. So it's like it you should have more like late teens, like early 20 somethings in there. But for
Yeah,
like with 12 Angry Men, you just think of a bunch of middle-aged to old guys. And so it's like
yeah,
it's hard to break from that, especially since with my cast, I was mainly drawing from I literally opened up all the pages for like Emmy nominated actors. So like
oh, yeah,
lead actor in comedy, lead actor in drama, and then miniseries, supporting and guest. Just went through all of those for like the past 10 years. And it's like, okay, I could do this guy, this guy, this guy, and then whittled it down from there.
nice. I also before you say yours, I want to save three and eight for the end.
Of
Uh,
course. And
so who's your juror two?
my juror two is Paul Walter Hauser.
Ooh, I
Richard Jewell
like that.
himself, baby.
Richard Jewell. I like that a lot.
I just because he Paul Walter Hauser always plays the kind of like meeker characters where it's like yeah, he's a big guy, but also he's always is like a softer personality. And
Yeah,
so it's like he's very good at playing the more timid guy.
I
Uh
like that a lot. I think that's a lot of fun.
my number
Who's your
four,
juror four?
my
Yes.
juror number four is Nick Offerman.
Oh, that's good.
I I think it's similar with how like Armin Mueller-Stahl was like outside of his comfort zone, where it's like, while Nick Offerman does play like very serious, sometimes pretty intellectual characters, I think like his usual characters are very gruff, whereas this is a bit more like we were saying before, intellectual, analytical, and it's like I feel like he doesn't get the chance to play into that specific character type, and I want to see him try and do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see Nick Offerman in glasses, which is like
That too.
the one costuming thing you need to have. It's the load bearing glasses. No, I like that. Like, totally against type to the point that if you say Nick Offerman in 12 Angry Men, you're immediately going to think Juror 3. And so
Yeah.
putting it in 4, I like that. My Juror 4 is somebody that in my original casting from 2019, I had as Juror 8. And
Oh.
I think it's it's not necessarily, you wouldn't expect those two characters to be someone that could be played to on either end by the same actor. But I have Jeffrey Wright as
Oh
Juror 4.
yeah. Well, that makes total sense. It's like,
Yeah,
and also Jeffrey Wright was almost cast in mine as well.
yeah.
He's just
I am curious if we have anyone in common, either in the same role or not. But no, I think Jeffrey Wright. I mean, it's Jeffrey Wright. What more do I need to say? It's fucking Jeffrey Wright.
Mhm. Yeah, of course. And who's your number five?
My Juror 5. I have Justice Smith
Okay.
from, I saw the TV Glow from
Of course.
uh, uh, Jurassic World something or other.
Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, sure. Uh,
And also Paper Towns and
right. Yes.
Detective Pikachu and
Right. Uh, 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 the Quarry, the
oh
video game.
oh, and he's also going to be in Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Dungeons and Dragons. He's so
Oh
fun in
yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Honor
Um,
Among Thieves is the subtitle there, I
yes.
think. Yeah.
No, Justice Smith, a very interesting up and coming actor, as we've been saying. That like, I mean, very glad that he got such a spotlight role in I Saw the TV Glow because I've been a fan of his for a while, and like, I don't know, I think kind of similar to Dorian Harewood bringing a sensitivity to that role. I would like I almost put him as two because he can do that meekness very well, but I'd like to see him get to like have a blow up at somebody, have his buttons pushed to the point that he like stands up for himself.
Hmm. Uh, for my number five, I put Peter Dinklage. And
Oh,
the reason is because I was thinking a bit about Jack Klugman's casting in the original one, how it's like it's a person you don't really expect to have come from that background. And
yeah,
so it's like I wanted to kind of play on that a bit. And so it's like I just Peter Dinklage.
I like it.
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
My number six is Nathan Lane. I wanted to give
Ooh,
him like Nathan Lane always casts as like these very big, very comedic, like drastic characters. Like if you think Nathan Lane 12 Angry Men, you're probably thinking Juror number seven. So it's like I wanted to go away from that and give him something different to do. And so I thought Juror number six was a nice place for him to like play around, like see what he can do there.
yeah. It's not the biggest part, but you put Nathan Lane in there, kind of like how you put James Gandolfini in there. That's already something.
Yeah,
That's already
it
some
draws
kind
your
of
eyes.
yeah. Uh, I really struggled with six. I really did not know where to go for a while, and I landed on Jesse Plemons. I don't know if I fully like have a reasoning for it, uh, but I wanted to put Jesse Plemons in here, and I think that's the best fit for him. I think he could really sell the like the deference to the older members of the jury and the like kind of falling on deaf ears pleas for civility, uh sort of like in game night, kind of not to
Yeah,
play it to the same way he plays it in game night, but
of course not.
like in Power of the Dog, kind of
Yeah.
the soft spoken but not meek, just like that's just who he is kind of guy. uh I don't know, I can see it. I don't feel as strongly about that as some of my other picks.
Yeah. I had considered Jesse Plemons, but he just didn't make the cut for anywhere.
Yeah.
Uh, and your number seven, I think it's your turn there.
Yes. Seven, I had a few different guys in mind for. I had there were a few different parts in this between 7 and 12 that I really wanted to put Christian Slater in. Uh, but I
Yeah.
ultimately couldn't fit him into either of them. But I think he would be a good fit for both. But who I landed on for seven is Boyd Holbrook.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
Thinking of him in Justified City Primeval, where he's just like such a loathsome, charismatic scumbag in that, but like his Johnny Cash in A Complete Unknown is really fun. I think he just has a lackluster playfulness about him that can go really far in the like jokester that's really not taking this all seriously but is still like got something in his craw and is bitter. And I, I don't know. I just feel like he could play that that side of seven really well.
Mhm. My number seven, uh, I originally had one actor, but then changed it at the last minute to another actor. Uh, my final choice was Ebon Moss Backrack, I think is how you
Yeah,
pronounce it, from
yeah.
The Bear, of course. And I originally had John Bernthal.
Ooh,
Uh,
Bernthal's a good call, but yeah, I mean I haven't seen The Bear, so I can't speak to that. But
but yeah,
I believe it.
I just generally wanted like juror number seven's always portrayed as like a very like he's very like wishy-washy, but also he's portrayed as very like weak, like kind of pathetic. So it's like I wanted to kind of switch it up by getting a more like tougher, seen as tougher actor in the role to see like if it will like make the character tougher by default, or if he'll be able to like embody the weaker side of the character. Or it's just like I'm just playing around with it,
I
just
like it.
seeing what can happen.
That's fun. That's fun.
And
Who's your
skipping to
nine?
number nine, I so I'll just say in a change of pace from all the other actors, where it's like for everybody else, it was like looking through Emmy nominated or winning actors. For this, I Googled oldest living actors and just like scrolled down the list until I found somebody who would work. And I got Joel Grey,
Ooh, yeah.
which I think would be very fun choice. I think he'd add like a certain little kind of like impishness, like kind of playfulness to the character. Like, of course, you don't really want like a lot of playfulness in this movie, but it's like
But no, yeah,
I
I
think a lot
totally get that.
about like in the original when it's first revealed that he did it, where he's just like, I did. It's like it has that front facing shot on him. It's like it's a very cute. It's a cute moment like before the movie gets like too serious in it. And it's like I feel like Joel Grey is a good like he and he's also just so small. And it's just like he's a scrunkly.
Yeah, he would definitely fill that the like sort of bedraggled chin strap beard look that Hume Cronin has in this one. Um, I went back and forth on a few different actors here. For a while, I was thinking Alan Alda, uh, who I had originally had in my first casting as Juror 10, sort of going far against type with that. But I I had a few in mind. I ended up going with Glyn Turman uh, from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, from Rustin, I think he was in. He's on
Yeah.
The Wire. He's a big theater actor. Been
I
around forever, all the way back to like Cooley
I'm
High stuff.
very familiar with Glenn Turman, and he
Yes,
was
yeah,
almost my choice here.
yeah. Yeah. I think he's a great actor that would have. It would be great to spotlight him in this kind of way. Uh, he has the theater background that I think would benefit something like this. Again, you're not going to with too big of a name that it like distracts from like the fact that Juror 9 is gone for a good section of the movie. But yeah, that's my pick.
But I, for some reason, I want to bring this up now, but a part of me wanted to make a joke cast first as for our list, where it's like either I do the cast of Juror number two, or I do the cast of 12 Angry Men inside Amy Schumer. Like,
Yeah.
do you know that sketch?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's like, but I just didn't go through with it. I wanted to be serious about this.
Yeah. What I ended up doing, similar to how you went through all the Emmys, a resource that I'll use sometimes when I'm like comparing how old an actor was in a certain movie and like who's someone that age now, I'll go through famousbirthdays.com and just go through like the actor section or the actress section. So I was doing that with like actors of certain ages just to like get a good spread because like I said, I wanted to get a variety of ages. And there were a lot of names that kept popping up of uh especially canceled actors. And there were points where I was like, John Voight as Juror 9, Kevin Spacey as Juror 8, Army Hammer as Juror 7. I almost did a joke cast of exclusively canceled actors.
12 canceled men.
Yes. Now that's a sketch. That's a sketch. You could 12 canceled men.
Yes. Oh my God. Uh,
Uh, okay. My Juror 10.
your turn.
Uh, Again, a role that I originally had Stacy, not originally in my 2019, but like for a while I had Stacy Keach on. But I thought that was maybe too samey with my Juror 3. And so I wanted to do someone also going against type, but someone that I think could play a different kind of racist, a bigot than in the original or in this one. So I ended up going with Steve Buscemi.
Okay.
I think Steve Buscemi could play a really good, just like pathetic, sort of like, you know, thinks that life has been unfair to him, like, sort of
Oh,
brainwashed right wing cultist, like,
you're very insully.
yes, very incel very like, oh, they're taking our jobs type thing. I think he plays a similar role in Jim Jarmusch's The Dead Don't Die. I think he's got a MAGA hat that's like, uh, uh it's something stupid that did make me chuckle. Let me actually look up
I
what that is.
I
uh
I watched The Dead Don't Die in theaters. I don't remember Steve Buscemi all that much. I thought he was a zombie in that.
well, I mean, they all eventually become
Oh
zombies, but
yeah,
he
but I
starts
thought
out,
he Yeah,
pretty
I
early on. Oh God, I can't read it because this is a low quality image. Oh, yeah, his MAGA hat says "Keep America White Again," which is just a great nothing. Like, and that was maybe informing it, but like I could absolutely see Steve Buscemi with a MAGA hat being juror number 10 and just
that's
being like a whiny little bitch of it.
that's oh my God, that's such a funny joke though.
It's a
Like,
good. There are two top tier gags in The Dead Don't Die, and it's the "Keep America White Again" hat and Adam Driver's tiny little smart car filled with huge, big Adam Driver.
like The Dead Don't Die is a very mediocre movie with some really good bits.
Yes, "Keep America White
Um,
Again." I think about that every so often. It's a good gag.
Also good song.
Yeah, yeah, very good song.
My juror number 10. And it's funny how interchangeable like juror 10 and juror 3 actors tend to be because it's like
Yes.
my juror 3 was originally a juror 10, or it's like I first saw him as juror 10. It's like, no, I want to do something more interesting. Put him as juror 3. And then this was like a juror 3 where it's like, no, put him as juror 10. And so I put Richard Jenkins, which
Ooh,
because it's like I feel like with Juror 10, I feel like something that hasn't been done is to make him a character like you initially like respect. Like, but then it's like as he slowly reveals his views, it's like you're just more and more like, oh no, God. Ah.
yeah.
And then it's just like I really want like that kind of like transformation over the course of the movie and building up to that final like a rant and then he's finally gets like beaten down and then it's like
That's that's good. I like that.
mhm,
Yeah, I also tried my best to find a 10 that didn't work as a 3 and a 3 that didn't work as a 10.
mhm. And for my juror number 11, this was an incredibly hard one to do because it's like you just because it's like you have all these like great like either like immigrant actors or foreign actors, and it's like you don't want to cast them in the role that's solely defined as like it's an immigrant, and it's just like you want to give him more of a role, but then it's also like with this movie like you have Edward James almost bringing a lot of like heft to the role, and so it's like it can be a really great role given the right actor who could like make it into something really really great. And so my eventual choice was Tony Shalhoub.
I thought about him as well a little bit. That's a good, yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I
Who's
I
yours?
I went with one of the all-time great ensemble players. I went with Luis Guzman.
Mm.
I think he's great in an ensemble. He's great in a movie I watched recently, Runaway Jury, as one of the juror members of that, in an uncredited role, by the way, for some reason. But yeah, I think he could really fit as the not very talkative, but when he does have something to say, he like delivers it in the same way that Viskovich and Olmos do in those two versions. And I don't know, just give him a highlight because he deserves a good highlight moment.
Luis Guzman is one of our most underappreciated actors. Like
Certainly,
he has a lot of small roles in great movies, especially with like his Paul Thomas Anderson roles.
yeah,
Is it just one or is there multiple? I think there's
three
multiple. Because I know
because
he's in Boogie Nights. He's also Magnolia, I think.
he's in Magnolia as one of the other players. He's one of the players on the adult team of the Quiz Bowl show,
Yes.
and then he's Sandler's coworker in Punch Drunk Love.
I always forget about Punch Drunk
Yeah,
Love.
at the hardware store wherever they work.
And and who's your juror 12?
12, I had a few different in mind for. Like I said, Christian Slater was one of the names I was thinking. I was thinking a Guy Pearce. Ultimately, who I landed on though, who I think could really sell the like dorkiness of this guy who thinks he's very cool and is very not. I went with Liev Schreiber.
Mm, yes. I
I
really wanted to include Liev Schreiber in here, but I just didn't fit him.
I think it's very fun that yours starts with Billy Crudup, who I really wanted to put in and couldn't, and mine ends with Liev Schreiber, who you wanted to put in and couldn't. And they're both incredible players in Spotlight. That's a fun
Oh,
sort of connection there. But yeah, Liev Schreiber, I think, again, great ensemble player, which you need for such a small role. Uh, is the perfect level of name, but not too much of a name that it like feels outsized for the part.
mhm.
Who's your
Um,
12?
John Turturro.
Very good.
I
Very
don't need
good
to
call.
explain it. It's just
You
like
don't.
it's
You certainly
um.
don't.
So we want to go to juror three next,
Yes.
end with eight.
Yes.
Uh,
Who's your juror three?
like I said, this was a guy I originally thought of for 10, but then it's like, no, I want to give him juror number three. I want to see him in a big role. It's Bill Camp.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, it's still camp.
And it's like, especially like he's surrounded by all these like bigger names like it's of course still a bunch of character actors, but they're all much more well known. And it's like Bill Camp is well known amongst like film fans, but he's never been a name actor. So it's like I want to give him the meaty fucking role in this ensemble because all eyes are gonna naturally just be on him because it's juror number three. So it's like let Bill Camp get this role.
That's good. I like that. Okay. So juror number three. What do we know about him? We know he's loud. We know he's brash. We know he's got a lot of unchecked machismo.
Mhm.
We know he's a shitty dad. We know he's very opinionated. We know he's very annoyed. And I was
Or
trying to, huh?
oh, sorry. I was about to say it's like Brian Dennehy back from the dead.
There were a lot of actors that I really wanted to put that have passed away recently. I really wanted to do Lance Reddick as Juror
Mm.
1 or Juror 8. I really wanted to do Irfan Khan as 11. Brian
Oh,
Dennehy
yes.
was someone that I was thinking for a few of these parts. There were a lot of very recently deceased actors that I was thinking for a part here and there. But yeah, Dennehy was someone that I really wish I could have put here as Juror 3. But no, my Juror 3 is Ed Harris.
Okay.
I think Ed
Oh yeah.
Harris, uh, you know, has been out of the spotlight for a while. He's had a few very good recent performances. He's really fun in Love Lies Bleeding. He's very sweet in The Lost Daughter. He's got like one scene in Top Gun Maverick for no reason at the very beginning. Uh,
Well, not
uh,
no reason.
but like, there's no reason for it to be Ed Harris if he doesn't come back ever. Like,
Oh, there was another movie like that recently. Oh, it was another Joseph Kosinski movie. It was fucking Shea Wiggum in the beginning of F1.
oh, weird. I think Ed Harris could really sell Juror 3 in a way that like that feels like the natural progression of Lee J. Cobb to George C. Scott to Ed Harris. Like that, there's
Definitely.
big shoes to fill, and you want somebody that can be that just like barking madman that at the end of it has not a tenderness, but like a sort of pitiful quality that I think Ed Harris could really sell. Just the I can see him hunched over that chair with the 1,000 mile stare as he's realizing like all the unchecked inner workings that have been going on, sort of leading him to this point. Uh, I think it would be great.
Hmm.
Okay, so my juror 8.
Here we go.
Like I said, for a while I was holding on to Jeffrey Wright, uh, but another name popped up, and I had him in parenthetical at the end of like, do I want to put him in? Do I want to keep Jeffrey Wright? And then when I realized I could move Jeffrey Wright up to 4, I was like, okay, no, this is someone that I think, again, kind of similar on the trajectory of Henry Fonda to Jack Lemmon to Paul Giamatti.
He was in Inside Amy Schumer.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he
I
was.
forgot about that. Uh, wasn't an intentional call, but I just I don't know. I think Paul Giamatti
Paul Giamatti
so
would be good though.
Yes.
Of course, Paul Giamatti would do a great one-man show of 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. I guess I had forgotten the fact that there was a male part in that Amy Schumer uh, uh sketch.
Well, yeah, it's 12 it's so 12 men and like
Oh, am I thinking of a I'm thinking of a different sketch.
it's a direct 12 Angry Men parody with 12 guys debating if Amy Schumer is funny, I think.
Oh, right. Yes, I
And
was
like
thinking of
John Hawkes
something
is the
else
juror number
altogether.
8 and Paul Giamatti's juror number 3.
Right. Okay, I was thinking of a totally different
And
sketch.
instead
That may
of the switchblade, it's like John Hawkes has like a dildo that he uses.
yeah. Um no,
And
either way I still stand by Paul Giamatti as my
no,
juror 8.
no, yeah, he is still a good choice. I just thought it was funny that he was in that sketch.
Totally slipped my
Because
mind.
I did consider because like even though I was gonna jokingly do like the people in that sketch, it's like John Hawkes and Paul Giamatti would still are still very good choices.
Yeah, John Hawkes is someone that you could put in maybe not any part, obviously, but like more of them than most actors. That's a very flexible actor.
Mhm. So
Okay, who's your 8?
my juror number 8. Um, so I'm gonna say like I'm gonna talk about like my theming of this, where it's like and I talked about like my frustration of how it's like it did like colorblind casting without I felt like this movie didn't really consider how that would affect the balance of it. And you had even mentioned it's like, oh, it's about like the kind like it's facing the prejudices like in that jury space rather than like with the victim like at arm's length or whatever. Or not the the defendant at arm's length or whatever. So it's like what I wanted to do is I wanted to have juror number 8 as a black man and then the other 11 as all white guys. And it's like him fighting against these 11 guys and their prejudices.
It's a good
As,
call.
and so I had Coleman Domingo as juror number 8.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I thought about him for one, but I felt like that was too small a part for him. But no, that totally works. That totally fits.
And it's like and this is also where I also thought about like Jeffrey Wright as well, because he would also do that really, really well.
Yeah, I really did. It was a toss up between the two of them, but I don't think Giamatti would quite work as four in the way that Wright works for four. But no, that's a
Mhm.
great call. Domingo is great there.
Yeah.
So
I'm
do
I'm
we?
I'm honestly surprised we didn't have any overlap. Like no
I
overlapping
especially
actors.
considering how many we both mentioned almost putting from the others cast.
Hmm.
So to read through my list, in order from jurors 1 to 12, you have Chiwetel Ejiofor, Cooper Hoffman, Ed Harris, Jeffrey Wright, Justice Smith, Jesse Plemons, Boyd Holbrook, Paul Giamatti, Glyn Turman, Steve Buscemi, Luis Guzman, and Liev Schreiber.
And my jurors are Billy Crudup, Paul Walter Hauser, Bill Camp, Nick Offerman, Peter Dinklage, Nathan Lane, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, Coleman Domingo, Joel Grey, Richard Jenkins, Tony Shalhoub, and John Turturro.
Two great casts.
Who
Two great casts.
two great casts, only one can win. You decide. It's like
Uh,
we have two polls. Edward James Olmos gay or European, and then which cast did you prefer?
I actually genuinely do get at us in the comments of the Spotify upload or the tweet, or the Instagram post or whatever. If you have a preference, if you have other casting ideas, because there's a lot of options.
Yeah,
There's a
drop your casting either in our
yeah.
DMs, like Christoph will probably do, or just put in our Spotify comments, like uh Simone will
Sorry,
do.
you are what comments? Want to take that back again, there, friend?
I didn't I say Spotify comments?
You said Spotify.
I thought I said Spotify comments.
You approached saying Spotify. And you said
Anyway,
this would be a short episode. We're an hour and 45 minutes in.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, a lot of that was based on that ending there.
True,
That was not about the movie,
but
but
still, like this is our longest episode, excluding the special episode I forced us to do.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, and I do actually have one more thing I want to bring up
please
briefly.
do.
Okay, have you ever served on a jury?
I really want to, but I have not. I've gotten called twice, but both of them were canceled before I showed up.
I have, and I will say, pretty interesting story, pretty interesting case.
Do
Where
tell.
so the defendant was being accused of robbing from a, I want to say KFC, I think, from a some fast food place that he worked at, being accused by his coworkers
But it was
of
actually you who robbed from the KFC.
no. So they're presenting the case, like, oh, here's the defendant. He came in after hours. He stole from the cash register. All this stuff seems pretty cut and dry as presented. And to the point that like they have video footage, just like, okay, what are we debating here? What is going to be their counter argument? And the argument, which I will say we found with enough reasonable doubt to find to not fully charge the guy, at least. He wasn't saying that he didn't steal from the restaurant. What he was saying was that the three coworkers that were called as witnesses, it was a plan between the four of them that they were going to look the other way and pretend they didn't see him come in through the door, take the cash, and leave, because the four of them like hung out a lot at one of their apartments like a block away, and it was a plan that the four of them had come up with together. And then when he got caught, they all turned on him, allegedly, and like were pretending that they weren't in on it and that they didn't get any of the cash that they split. Which pretty interesting case, I have to say, for my one time serving on a jury.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to go that route, but it was pretty interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. Maybe it was a Popeyes. I feel like I remember it being a chicken place specifically, versus like a Wendy's or whatever, but I don't remember the details. And I don't think people are going to be out here like looking up the facts of the case or anything, considering I said very few of them and remember not much more than I did say already.
Yeah.
But
And
it was an interesting time, I will say. I had, because it was such an early morning to go there, I was very sleep deprived and might have not fallen asleep on in the jury box, but dozed off just enough to the point that I like noticed the lawyers like paying attention to that and like was like, okay, I can't fall asleep and like cause this whole thing to be a mistrial or whatever. I gotta lock in. And so I did. But there was a moment there where I was like on the verge of falling asleep. While I was we were watching like CCTV footage or whatever.
mhm.
But yeah, that's my jury story. Uh, it was interesting. It was very interesting.
Glad you had fun.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's nice to come away from a story like that, where the case, nobody got hurt. Like I don't have to talk about like, oh, somebody got murdered, somebody got assaulted, some like violent crime. No, it was like petty conspiracy and potential like, you know, I don't know. It was interesting. It was I have fond memories of it, which you can't always say about serving on jury duty.
hmm It, it's like I never understand like why people are like so against being on a jury. Like, come on, just do it. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. It was an eye-opening experience. Uh, but it's not something I'm like rushing out to do again anytime soon.
I mean, it's not
But
your choice.
fair. I think like a few years ago I got called in, but like I never got a follow up on that. So as far as I know, nothing happened there, but who knows?
hmm
Anyway, we're closing in on 2 hours here. Do we have anything else we want to say here?
Not a damn thing.
Any? We plugged the Betty and Joan thing
Yeah,
last
that
week.
was last week.
Yeah,
That,
we
that
we we talked about that. But yeah, go check that out again.
wait, did that get uploaded?
Yes, it did. I
Okay,
posted it on our Instagram at least, that was happening.
sweet.
Um,
Hell
but
yeah.
yeah, see you next week for Mazes and Monsters,
where we will also reveal our August lineup.
which is four movies that we've already picked out. It's not
Special
going to be
theme.
random. We have a special theme that we have some very interesting ways to go with that. And
Wait, is that going to be our
uh,
first like specific theme month?
well, we did Dennehy. Is
True.
the thematic Dennehy.
The thematic. The
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's something I want to have on record, on air. I'm putting my foot down about that title, by the way. Uh,
Wait, I need to
because
go back in our conversation to remember what I said I wanted the title to be.
they were not as good. I have to say as much. So, uh, if and when this show starts a Patreon, which if that's something you would sign up for, also get at us in the comments about that or DM us or whatever if you would want to listen to what we have to say on Patreon. I came up with an idea for a potential series we could do over there, where we would talk about various theatrical Brian Dennehy movies in a series that I am calling Denebry the DB movies story.
The BD movie story.
BD, yeah, Brian
Uh,
Dennehy. Sorry,
BD because
I
it's about BD Wong.
yes, BD Wong, Brad Dourif, all of your BDs. You're a Bill Duke. You're a
Yeah.
Bobby Darin.
All of those Bobby Darin TV movies.
No, the theatrical movies. That's the whole point
Oh
of it.
yeah, true, true, true.
Uh,
All those Bobby
uh,
Darin movies though. Has he done
there's
any movies?
he was Oscar nominated for Captain Something MD
That's
as an
right.
actor.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
Oscar nominated actor Bobby Darin. But yeah, there's no it would be talk about Brian Dennehy movies. We'd talk about really why I want to do this is because I want to talk about FX and FX2, which I recently watched. But
We also need to talk about, first of all, it's not Tree of Life, it's a Knight of Cups that he's in.
yes,
And also we get to talk about the first the Ultimate Gift movie.
and the first Rambo. Is he in the sequels? I know he's in First
Oh,
Blood,
I
very
did
least.
not
But
know he was in Rambo.
yeah, that's like one of his most notable roles. Is he's in First Blood.
Barely remember it. I
I
can see.
haven't seen it, but I know that much. But
Anyway,
yeah, I get at
you
us if you wanted, if you would listen to a Patreon, if you would subscribe. But that wouldn't be anytime in the immediate future,
yeah.
especially because, and you heard it here first, folks. Lone Acting Nominees is starting a Patreon in the coming weeks. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah, I'm going to be announcing that on that show in soon. But this is the first time that our handful of listeners will be hearing that, aside from the people I've already messaged about coming on. But like for the general public, little sneak preview about that if you're listening.
Yes. But
Which
does Christoph already know?
yeah, Christoph's on a couple episodes. He picked out for
Hmm.
that.
Oh, he picked out
But
more than one. Okay.
he picked
Overachiever.
he picked out two. Yes. He'll be on the first one on that. On I'm not going to say what it is yet. That's something that I'm still leaving up for mystery. But the premiere of the Patreon series will have Christoph and Ronaldo Sosa, previous
Oh,
guest of
both
this
of them.
episode. Yeah, yeah. Because it's going to be two guests per ep. We'll talk more about this off mic for yours,
Oh,
but
of course.
yeah, that's
But yeah, so the Christophs of our listeners already know, but the Jasons are don't are just finding out now.
yes. So congratulations, I guess. I don't know why I said that. I'm tired.
But
It's
anyway,
1 a.m.
what we're talking about though is not just it's not the fact that you are starting a Patreon on your podcast or that the fact that we want to start a Patreon for ours. It's the fact that you call it fucking Denebry, the BD movie story, when it should be very clearly Brianized the Dennehy story or
That's
Dennehy movie story, whichever you prefer. Or
I
because
prefer neither.
because you're fucking bad at names, Gordon. I just gotta say.
I fully disagree as the person who came up with televised the TV movie story.
I'm just joshing you.
I
I know
know.
you. I love yeah, but
Yeah.
also I am right. I also jokingly said the Brighterian den election.
That's that's not bad. But Denabry, the DB movie story. I keep saying DB. There was a New York Times crossword where
DB Cooper.
the connection recently was like the themer was place where you might find these people, or with a different like read how they might introduce themselves. And it was like Drew Barrymore, Delta Burke, David Bowie, Danny Bonaducci, and it was IMDb. So I have DB on the brain as initials, but no. Denabry, the BD movie story.
Work in progress.
Nope. Cut.